All right, I am going to change the oil in my 2014 RX350 for the first time. We've been taking it in, but I figure I want to start changing my own oil. So I'm all ready. The first time you do this, you got to buy some stuff if you don't already have it. I bought some Rhino ramps. You can kind of see them here. I got them on the floor. I saw a YouTube video of some guy doing it without it, but I'm going to use it because I just want more room. I bought oil. I'm going to be using Kirkland's Signature 0W20, which is what my car takes. I'm using Kirkland's Signature brand because I love Costco. I got a torque wrench. Let's see. Stuff here. A lot of these things are things you're going to buy one time. So I got a torque wrench with also a 14 millimeter socket I'm going to be able to use. I bought this. This is a one-time purchase thing. This is Motive Tools. It's basically a really high-end oil filter remover. Here's the 14 millimeter socket. And this thing is like made out of aluminum, I think. It's actually really kind of got heft to it. It is a, it uses a 3/4 inch drive, I guess. And it takes the oil filter off. A couple other things that I've got. Let's flip you guys around here. So these are OEM oil filters. I got two for like 15 bucks. It ends up being like not quite $8 each before tax. Also got genuine oil drain plug gaskets. Now I heard somewhere that you don't have to replace these each time, but they're like $1 each. I bought 10 for like 10 bucks, so I might as well replace them. And this is kind of an optional thing here. So this is basically a little valve thing that you stick up into, you screw it onto the oil filter. So as you can kind of see here, the oil filter housing has a little thing on the bottom that you can unscrew, and it comes with a little plastic thing that you jab up into there, and that just helps release the oil out of the filter housing before you unscrew the filter housing. A lot of people say you don't even need to do that. You can just unscrew the filter housing directly and the oil will gush out, but it's not a big deal. It's a little messier. I don't want to do that, and the plastic thing also makes a mess. But if you get one of these, you can kind of screw it in, and then you can open the valve and have the oil housing drain out through a tube, and hopefully that's a little bit neater. This also comes with two gaskets for each one. The little gasket for the little end plug thing, and then the big rubber gasket. They're both rubber. And then the big one that goes around the entire housing filter. What we want to do is remember to, you want to, oops, let's flip you guys around. You want to remember to lubricate both of those gaskets before you put it back on. So the plan of action is raise the car up, ride it up onto the ramps. Got an oil drain. Oh, I don't think I showed you that yet. I got an oil drain pan slash, let's see here, an oil drain pan container thing, so oil can drain right into this, and it also stores it, which is convenient. And so the plan is bring the car up in on the ramps, drain the oil out of the drain plug into that, hopefully try not to make a mess, drain the oil filter housing, and then take off the oil filter, replace the filter in it, put the new gaskets on, and then put everything back in, and then put back 6.4 quarts of WD-40, no, not that, 0W20 full synthetic into the car. So there's a world of debate on how often you should do this stuff. Generally, like in the Lexus manuals, it says do full synthetic every 10 years or 1 year. I'm sorry, every 10,000 miles or 1 year, excuse me. And that's what I had been doing for a while, but I've been gradually meaning to kind of shorten the length of in-between oil changes because I want to keep this car forever. So, knock on wood. So I'm going to be doing it more often. So I think it's been just shy of 5,000 miles since the last oil change. I'm going to change the oil. Ballpark numbers on how much this costs. So my running cost, like after you buy all the stuff, it ends up being, I think I calculated for me, it ends up being roughly $40 per oil change to do it myself. Including buying all this stuff. I can't remember how much I spent on everything, including the ramps and the torque wrench and all that, but I think it was like 150 or a little bit more maybe of like fixed costs for just the stuff, excluding the oil. So I'm breaking even by the second oil change based on how much I've been paying. So anyway, this is my first time doing it. Again, or just as a reminder, I don't know what I'm doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, then call a professional. Alright, so this is what comes in the OEM Toyota or Lexus Toyota genuine filter. So you get this little plastic thing, which I'm not using, I'm using that hose instead. You get two gaskets, the small one for the drain part of the filter housing, and then the big one for the housing. You want to put a little fresh oil on these before you stick them on, and then you got the filter itself. This is going to happen later. First thing I'm going to do is drain all the oil out. I am using a flow tool, 16-quart drain container. Undo the top here. Make sure you open this before you use. Make sure this cap is on before you stick it in. And yeah. So what we're going to do is go under the front of the car. And you're going to see, hopefully, this is the filter housing, and then behind it, oops, right here, you've got the oil drain plug. Let's see if you can see it. It's hard to tell if you can see it here. Where's my hand? Yeah, it's right here. So I'm going to undo that and give it a go. All right. Let's pop the hood. Oops, didn't close the door all the way. There we go. And here we go. Look at that. Success. It's pouring out. Didn't even get it all over things. Look, it's pouring. Look at that. Hey, success. Great success. Look at that. It's nice. I don't know. Where do I put this drain plug? It doesn't get dirty. There we go. Oh, it's dry. I think it's going. So it's draining. It's going down. I was afraid for a second that it wasn't actually going into the container, but it is. Super. Look at that. Very nice. Smells like oil. So I'm going to get some napkin, wipe off my gloves. All right, looks like that's almost done draining. These blue towels seem to work very well, by the way. So it's draining. See, it's coming down to a trickle now. Didn't take too much. I just, very lightly undid it with that wrench, and then the rest of it I could just do with my fingers. And what I did was I kind of held it into the oil pan, I guess, for as long as possible, and then kind of whooped it out all at once. And that kind of seemed to help prevent it from dribbling out too much beforehand, so that's good. All right, so we're going to let that continue, and then what we're going to do is move on to the filter section. What I can do is move this up a little bit now, because it's draining. I can move it so it's... All right, so I'll let that continue draining, and now I'm going to go over to the oil filter housing, which you can see right there. So I'm not going to do the thing where some people say just take the whole thing off. I don't want a big mess. I'm going to try using that little tube I got. All right, so I'm going to position this over here. Hopefully you can see it well. Let's see, where is, I got to point because it's hard to see where it is. Right there, I can move it down a bit. Oops. Right there. All right, let's move it up so you can kind of see it. There we go. Down a little bit. It's this thing. So, meanwhile, you can see that the rest of it's still draining. So it's a very light trickle now. It's almost done. Let that continue to drain. In the meantime, I'll stick this up in here. I don't need the socket this time. I can just stick it straight in. Maybe I can get a better angle here, don't I? I can scoop this over this way a little more. These kind of lie down here. Stick it in. And we'll start twist. It's loose. I think I probably do it with my hand now. Just gonna loosen it. There might be a little bit of a dribble, which is okay. Let me prepare by getting my little tissue. Got my tissue here. I guess I'll dribble just a little bit, but it shouldn't dribble much. You have to still drain the thing with that tube. So, dribble a little bit. Kind of see it. Not bad. What I'll do, stick it over there. There we go. Up off my hands. So again, it's not too much. There's a gasket there, though. You can kind of see that gasket. That's one of the gaskets that we're going to replace. That's the smaller of the two gaskets. I don't know if you can see it, but right up here, there's a gasket around there. That's what we're going to replace. It's one of the two things that comes in that filter that I showed you earlier. I think. Let me double check. Yeah, that's the smaller of the two gaskets. See, there's two gaskets. That's the smaller one. So what I'm going to do now is wipe this off a little bit. Alright, and then it's still draining. It's slowing down to a very slight trickle now. So now I've got this. So this is what I bought extra that's optional, so I don't have to use that little thing. So how this thing works is you can twist the entire thing holding this top part onto it, and then you twist the bottom part, which opens the valve. So let's first just twist the top part on. I think the valve is hopefully closed. If not, then we'll find out shortly. Twist this on, just thread right on to the bottom there. I don't want to make a mess. I do not want to keep the bottom one closed. What I'm struggling here a little bit with is I don't want to get this two ball in that oil pan. Actually, let me just scoot it forward a little bit. Do that, I'll be fine. Give me more room over here. There we go. So it just threads on using the top one. Okay, thread it all the way on. I don't know if you can see it. I think you can. Now I'm going to just twist the bottom one and then drain the rest. Oil should come out now. Oh, it's coming. You see it coming now. Kind of stuck in the tube, but it's coming. It's down now. This kind of rotates, doesn't it? Alright, so let's connect this. Alright, there we go. So next time I do this, what I might do is just cut this cord a little bit, just to make it smaller. It's a little bit big. It's too long for my situation. I mean, it's better for it to be too long than too short. But now I've learned I don't need it that long, so I'll just cut it next time. Let's close this valve. Alright, so you can see what the filter housing looks like. It's there. I still have that little socket on the outside, and the filter is inside. Now, when you replace the gaskets, that's one gasket there. And then, of course, I have to put the bottom one on as well. And there's a gasket there in the bottom one. So I'm going to take this one off. Let's see if I can. All right, so we can take the inside filter, which is right here. That's this. I'm just going to throw it away. There we go. There we go. And let's take the bottom one off. Let's swipe all this off too. Keep everything clean and tidy. The bottom thing off. So this is what the actual housing looks like. Apparently on some Lexuses, it's going to be a plastic one. This one is looks like it's metal, so mine's a metal one. But I heard that you should not switch it. So if you have a plastic one, don't get a metal one and then be like, I'm going to use a metal one and upgrade. You just don't want to do that. I'm going to clean this all off now. Clean this all out, make it all nice and clean. Now what I'm going to do is take off the gasket on both this and the little cover that, oh, it's right there. So to get the gasket off, you want to have a little like screwdriver thing, which unfortunately I forgot to get out before I started this process, even though I knew I was supposed to have one. So I got to go grab one now. Okay, so I'm going to get, actually I'm going to finish cleaning this out because it's still a little bit dirty in there. It still has some oil left. Not sure if you have to get all of it out, but just clean it up a little bit while you're there. Might as well. Alright, that's probably good enough. I don't know that you have to clean it out at all. Just get most of the stuff out. It's probably not bad. That's what I'm going to do. Alright. Clean up the outside and then take off the off the outside. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, what I'm going to do now is take this screwdriver, and you want to just get this gasket off. But what you have to remember is where exactly on which hole it's in. So remember which hole the gasket is in. So take this off. There we go. So it's that bigger groove. Not all the way down and not where the threads are. Cut this off again. All right. And then on the bottom, same thing. Just take a little screwdriver and take the little gasket out. So, wipe that off too. So I'm going to use a little bit of new oil. I think people sometimes use old oil. I don't know how important it is regardless. I'm not sure how important it is to which kind of oil you use, just to lubricate the gaskets, but you do want to lubricate the gaskets. So what I'm going to do is get another piece of blue paper towel, shop, whatever. Open up this. What I'm going to do is get a little bit of this oil. Tiny bit of oil. Alright, just like this. New oil, and then I'm going to just lubricate it with oil and lubricate this the small one first. It's all nice and lubricated there, you see that? I'm just using this towel to do it, but lubricate that up. What I'm going to do is stick it right back in the bottom. Wedges right in there. Perfect, and what I'll do is, actually I'm gonna stick that cap on right now. There's still tiny drips coming out of that main oil pan, interestingly. Let's wipe this off. I haven't wiped this one off yet. This is the cap that we took off first. So screw it back on. I'll torque it to the correct torque specs later. I'm just gonna lightly do it for now so it doesn't fall off. And then I'm actually gonna get another one because I took off the dirty one. A little bit of oil. And then take the new one, or the big one, and lubricate this one as well. All the way around, maybe a couple times to make sure it's all nicely lubricated up with some fresh oil. Just like that. I'm going to stick it in the appropriate place. Roll this down and around. It goes just like that. So, just to get in the right spot. Perfect. Now we'll take the new filter. Oops, new filter. Stick it right back in there. Oops, is it going one way? Oh, it's right down in there. That's kind of like a spring-loaded thing. So stick it in there, and we're good. It has kind of a bounce to it, like a spring. Now we're gonna just stick it right back into the car. All right, my other camera died, so I'm back here. So there's different numbers that I found in terms of torque specs online of what to do, but what I'm gonna go with is I'm going to go with, for the filter itself, let me double check here. So for the torque specs, there's a lot of different stuff online. So I'm gonna go with 9, 18, and 30, I think it is. So for the bottom of the filter drain plug, that's going to be about 9 foot-pounds. For the filter itself, about 18. And then for the actual drain plug of the oil pan, 30 foot-pounds. All right, let's see if I can, don't have as great of an angle this time, but it's just the opposite procedure of what we did earlier. So I'm going to stick this back on it. Oh, it still has some oil on it, doesn't it? Let's clean this off a little bit. All right, very good. So I'm gonna stick the oil filter back on, like so. I think I made that a little easier. Stick the oil filter right up in there, twist it on. I already put the oil filter drain plug, kind of hand screwed it on. And this thing is, I mean, it's barely trickling out, so I'm gonna close that one up as well. Let's wipe it up. Let's wipe that up. Where is the actual drain plug? Here it is. Oh, and here is a new filter we're gonna do as well. Remember that little thing that I said was optional if it's blue? Well, I'm going to replace it. This one isn't actually a blue one. Whoever changed the oil for me last time, you can kind of see the filter that's around that. So I might need to, I can just pry it off with my fingers. That seems to work. Clean it off. Drain plug. Put the new filter, or new little washer thing, right, like that. Stick that on. And then I'll hand screw it back in. It's still slightly drippy. It's been dripping forever. I don't know if it's ever going to stop dripping completely, but I'll stick this in and replace it. Where's the hole? There we go. Hand screw it in. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to strip the threads because that would suck. I don't know what you'd have to do if you stripped the threads. So I'm just hand tighten that on, clean it all off. Very, very nice. So now, again, I'm going to be using those 3 figures that I said earlier in terms of tightening. So these are hand tightened, so I can move this out of the way. But before I do that, let me make sure I hit some dribbles along the side. Let me close this, close the whole thing up, close the vent thing, make sure that's tightened, close the bottom, and I'll wipe this all out later because I don't want any oil messes. Okay, so what I can do is just push this back out of the way for now. There's no little, it's going to be coming out, so I don't have to worry about that. Push this back so I have plenty of room. Ooh, it's heavy, full of oil, old oil. So don't run your car now because that would suck. If you run your car now, you would destroy your engine. So I'll start off with the outer one. And I said that one was 18 foot-pounds. So I'm going to adjust my torque wrench here. So you loosen the bottom of the torque wrench. And then you're going to go to 18. Let's see, where are we at right now? We are at 10. You're at 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 foot-pounds. Retighten it. Very good. Switch the direction to tighten mode. Tighten mode. Stick it up in there. And we're going to tighten until it stops. There it goes, that's it. It clicked. That's all you want to do. Okay, now wipe it all off. Make sure it's all clean. Oh, and also, let's not drive around, oops, with my filter cap housing, filter remover going on. You don't want to do that. Next thing I'm going to do, readjust. Let's make sure it's all clean. I'll clean it all up at the end. So what we're going to do next, let's see if I can move over so you can see a better angle of this. All right, so here's a better angle. So I tighten that up. So what I'm going to do now is readjust my torque wrench to 9. So I'm going to do the adjustments here. So now we're at 10. Now we're at 9. It's just the numbers I'm going with. And then I'll tighten it back up and stick it here. So stick it right up into here and tighten. Perfect. All done. And then finally, I've got to do it with the real drain plug, which is back there. Ta-da! So for this one, I've got to get my little socket again, 14 millimeter. You can use a wrench. I'm just using a torque wrench and just got a socket to keep things together. And then this one, we said 30, right? So we're going to adjust it. I'm going to go up to, let's see, we're at 10, if I can see. It's hard to see under here. 10, 15, 20, 25. Wait, am I at 30? Yeah, I hope I did the last one right. I'll double check. 30. Tighten it up. And last one right here. Stick it on and tighten until it clicks. This feels tight. It is on 30 though. There we go, that's 30. Perfect. Let me go back and just double check the other one was actually at 18, right? And 15, 16, 17, 18. Just double check the other ones while we're at it. So I'll loosen it real quick. this one here. And then I'll tighten it. There we go. And let me just double check the other one. I said the other one. Wait, I'm getting confused. Now that one's 9. Okay. This one is 18. My goodness. Oops. So I'm going to loosen the filter housing real quick, just slightly. And then I'm going to tighten it to 18. There we go. Perfect. And the other one, we said 9, so let me just double check that I did it correctly at 9. All right, so I'm gonna loosen this one. I think I over tightened it a bit. Okay, so I have it set at 9. Tighten it. All right. So basically what we got is we've got this at 9, the whole filter housing at 18, and the other one is at 30. Again, the numbers you see are a little bit, you get varying numbers online. So those are the numbers I'm gonna go with. So now all we have to do is fill up the car. Next up on the docket is to open the oil fill cap on the top. Just like so. I'll probably clean that off. Set that down here. And then I am going to fill it up with 6.4 quarts of W or 0W20 using a handy dandy funnel. All right. So this is 5 quarts. And then there's handy measuring things so I can measure the second batch as needed. But for now, all I gotta do is 5 quarts. So hold this thing and pour it in. Maybe I should have opened the little thing on the top better. The little seal. Note to self, Charlie, open the seal completely next time. Almost done with 5 quarts. This particular car takes 6.4 if you're replacing the filter, which I'm doing. Almost done. Just readjust my hand grip here. Very good. That's that whole bottle. Get the last few drips out. And then that was 5, so we need 1.4 more quarts to make a grand total of 6.4 quarts. All right, that's good. Second bottle out. This time, I would open it completely. So this time I'm going to have to measure it a little bit more carefully because I only want 1.4. That means that on the side here, I need to go down to, starts at 5, so we gotta go down to 4, and just shy of, oh wait, no, that's liters. Be careful, Charlie. Careful, this has both liters and quarts. This is 5 quarts though, so I need 6.4 quarts, which means what I need to do is, if you can see that here, I need to go down to 4 quarts, there's 3 quarts, I need to go just north, just higher than halfway between 3 and 4. So, let's start. Let's measure. Oh, still got a ways to go. Measure. Oh, still got a ways to go. Measure. All right, we're getting closer now. We set it on a flat surface, so I have a good reading here. We are at, oh, we still have a little more to go. Just past a quart. All right, let me put it on the flat ground again just to make sure. I don't want to put too much in. Let's see. That looks like we're just about right. That is just north of halfway between 3 and 4, so I think we're good. So, put the cap back on this. I'm going to clean the cap off of, clean the oil cap. Then what I'll do is I can bring the car down, and we'll make sure we have about the right amount of oil. I heard somewhere that what you should do is let the car run a bit. What I'll do is oops, I don't want to drip any oil here. Let's clean this bottom off. Wipe off the oil from inside too. I don't have any funkiness. Clean this all off, just cleaning this thoroughly. Don't want any oil. Put it back in the oil bucket. And I'll tighten this back up. And we'll wipe that off as well. So what I'll do is now I'm going to back off the car, bring it flat and level, and then check the oil level. All right, so I brought the car off the ramps, checked the oil level looks good. And so we're done, that's it. So I'm gonna reset the maintenance thing now. So to do that, make sure you're in trip A on the trip computer. Hold down the odometer trip reset button. And while you're doing that, start the car, but don't put your foot on the brake, just hit the button twice. Not sure if it'll work. And you're holding it down, see I'll say resetting maintenance data, little lines go down on the bottom. And then that's it. That's all there is. Here as well, you can go into setup if you have the nav option, vehicle, and then maintenance. Then you can click on this and say when you want to change your thing again. So say I want to change it. I want a reminder in about, let's see, I'm going to do it. I want to do it when it hits the main thing. So I'll just type in the number and then hit OK and you're set. All right, to check the oil, you have a dipstick there, the yellow thing. So I've already cleaned it off once, but what I'll do is I'll pull it out, clean it off with a blue rag, or you could probably just even use a paper towel. Just gonna take it out, clean it off, just wipe it down like once. Oops, don't try to dribble somewhere. All right. Stick it all the way back in until it clicks. Boop. And then pull straight up. And you want to look at the levels. So there's going to be 2 dots on the end. You can kind of see here. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, it's probably going to be too hard to see. Got 2 dots on the end, and the oil level should be in between those 2 dots. And if it is, then you're good. Oops, come on. All right, super. So the oil is between those 2 dots and you're good to go. That's how you change the oil in an RX. But of course you have to clean up, but there you go. And you can take old oil to like most auto parts stores like AutoZone or O'Reilly Auto Parts. Most of them will just take it back. They'll take your oil for free. They'll empty it into some big container and they'll recycle it or do something with it. So that's where you're supposed to get rid of your oil.